And send. What the heck? Oh my gosh, I was not expecting all these new followers. So thank you so much for following. I really appreciate it. Definitely was not expecting this, but I'm really happy you guys enjoyed my last video. It was mostly just meant to, introduce myself, kind of tell you a little bit of who I am. For this next video, talk a little bit more in detail about some of the things that I did as I was a furry. So I think one of my proudest achievements by far is starting a furry club on my university campus. I went to the University of Washington, which is a public university in Seattle, Washington. I was very surprised as I was going through my classes. I realized there wasn't a furry club. There was definitely a lot of furries, and this was also a time, before Bark, before apps that may be tailored to furries even existed in the first place. So even though there was a lot of furries on campus, there really wasn't like a centralized club or centralized meeting point for these people. I took it upon myself to make my own. The requirements to make a club at my college was I needed to find 5 RSO members, and RSO stands for something student organization. I'll figure out what the R is in editing, but I needed to find 4 people, because one of those people is me, and that would be included in the 5 who would agree to be an officer for my new club. I got really lucky. One of my good friends in freshman year was a furry just like me, so I was able to use him as one of my RSO officer spots. And then I had 3 more spots available, and that was basically me trying to ask anyone I could who maybe didn't want to be a part of the club, but I just needed someone to put their student ID in there, and that way the RSO system would recognize us as a club. Was able to find 3 more friends who agreed, and after signing some paperwork, I made it official. I submitted it to the RSO office and made the Husky Furry Club a reality. So why is it called Husky Furry Club? Well, our mascot's a husky, so I figured that would be a pretty easy name to make. Fun fact though, that was our second name. Our first name was the Anthropomorphic Husky Furry Club. So it was like AHFC, and it was a very long name, and it was very funny. The reason why we ended up changing it was because during one of our first meetings, we rented out a classroom, or like this meeting space in our student union building. And it was a small meeting. It was maybe like 2 or 3 members at the time. We had just started. Some people walked in and they knocked on the door. I thought they were lost. They definitely did not look like they were coming to the club, but I wasn't judging. I wasn't really sure who I'd expect at that time. We hadn't really advertised ourselves yet, but they ended up being anthropomorphic studies students who thought that it was a club for their major. And I ended up kind of looking at my other members, and we were like, yeah, we should probably change the name. So we ended up dropping the anthropomorphic part of the Husky Furry Club name. And so we ended up just being called the Husky Furry Club. And that's how it started. It was a very humble beginning in 2019. Mostly me, and then one of my good friends. He was the vice president of the club. And then we had our 2 first members join, but we grew really rapidly. And by the end of 2019, kind of right before COVID hit, we had the ability to basically fill half of that meeting space. We even made posters to advertise our club and got permission to put them all around campus, some in the student union building, some in the libraries. And we also made a social media account as well. And unfortunately, COVID happened. It was really bad timing. We had a successful first year, and then suddenly we couldn't meet in person anymore for another year. We didn't really have as much meetings anymore. But something we did have was, now that we had a place where people could meet, maybe online, on a server, on social media, people could connect with each other, people on campus, and start going out together. Group dinners, that was something that we did a lot, was we took a bunch of our club members and we all went to the university district to go have dinner together. And I have a lot of these fond memories of basically bringing a group of 20 people and stuffing them into, a small little hole in the wall restaurant. It was really fun. We played lots of games. A lot of people in our meetings would just, take out their tablet, they would draw. It's kind of like whatever they made out of the club is what the club was to them, right? There wasn't really a purpose necessarily. It was mostly just, here we are, you can come here and hang out with us and make friends. And it was kind of self-propelling, even after I became a little bit more inactive, kind of stepped down a little bit just because I got really busy with my class load. The club still kept functioning. People still kept hanging out. Once I graduated in 2024, we actually handed over the reins to another member. And now the club is still being run just on a much, much larger scale. And last time I checked, I think we had like 100 members or so. So it was really cool just kind of seeing that continuous growth of our club. Speaking of that, why don't I go ahead and give you a tour of my campus? I should probably get some better clothes though. One sec. Oh, much better. All right, so where were we? Let's go ahead and go take a quick tour of my campus. Follow me. So this is the quad. The quad is sort of this giant square with a bunch of red bricks. And this place is actually very special to me. As you can see, this was the place that I actually tabled for my furry club back in 2021. And this was a really great experience because this was right after COVID happened. So things were finally starting to come back online and people were meeting in person again. And so I took it upon myself to put on my fursuit and display this trifold board where I sort of explained what the furry club was for, what a furry was for a lot of curious students. And it was really awesome. There was a lot of people that got in line to take pictures with me. I wasn't sure, maybe they thought I was a mascot of some sort or something, but it was a little overwhelming experience. Speaking of mascots, Harry the Husky actually was at the quad while we were tabling. I had pretty much never seen Harry out in the wild, and to see him, with me in my fursuit at the same time, we had a little bit of a squaring off. I still remember it to this day. He was a very silly guy. So in the quad, you'll find things like this weird statue looking thing. It's very pointy. We call it the obelisk. We also have Suzalo, which is sort of like our Harry Potter room. It's really cool. It looks very, Gothic architecture. We also have a giant statue of George Washington because we are the University of Washington. So I guess that's appropriate. And then further down along here, you'll see this giant fountain because every university needs to have a giant fountain. This is Drumheller Fountain, big fountain. We also have a giant green space here called the Quad, where a lot of people come from all over the world to see the cherry blossoms bloom in March. And that's another event that we were able to do as a furry club, was take a bunch of furries and then just suit together in public during the cherry blossoms. And we've been doing it for maybe 4 years at this point, and it's such a great time every time because there's people from all over the world and all they want to do is take pictures with the giant fuzzy animals. And nothing makes me happier than bringing a smile to people's faces, seeing all the happy adults, happy kids, just eager to, see what we're all about. And I think that's what makes this whole thing so fulfilling for me. Further along here, we have the Student Union building. Like I was saying before, this is where we had our first meeting for the Husky Furry Club. And then if you keep walking even more, we'll finally get to Husky Stadium. So here is where our college football team plays. Lots of energy here, lots of good games. I honestly think it's one of the prettiest stadiums of any university. And I definitely recommend going to see a Husky football game if you're able to come visit. We also have these giant pillar things, 4 of them actually, which we were told were the original pillars of the original University of Washington before it moved locations. Fun fact, UW used to be in downtown Seattle, but they actually ran out of room and needed to move it somewhere else. And so when they moved it, they took these pillars and placed them in this random foresty area that I think is called Sylvan Grove. And each pillar stands for something. The acronym they use is LIFE. So L, I think, is loyalty. I is industry. F is faith. And E is something that I can't remember that I'll put on the screen. I think it's engineering or something. I think I touched the industry pillar. I don't remember, but it's sort of a tradition when a new class comes to touch a pillar that they most identify with. It's a cool tradition. It's kind of spooky at night. I don't recommend going at night unless you have a friend. Whew. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my campus, where I went to school for, the past 4 years. And I'm really happy I got to go to school here. It's such a beautiful campus, amazing people. Seattle is such an amazing city. I've gotten to meet so many people here that I never would have been able to meet if I hadn't gone to school here. So I'm really happy I got to make my mark here and connect with the furries, help other furries in college connect with each other. And I really hope that you guys can visit sometime.